Hey, all of you out in Leeds Geeks land. Here we come from Fargo, North Dakota, and from Seattle, Washington. Joining us today is Cody Meyer, Eric Haig, the Jim Renfro, and I'm Ryan Dorheim. And today we have a special guest with us, Kyle. Kyle, do you want to introduce yourself?
You bet, Ryan. All right, happy to be here, guys. I'm Kyle Reedstrom. I get to hang out with these guys all day, every day. So it's fun to be on here. It's fun to see what these guys have been doing on the site. Like I said, Kyle Reedstrom, I'm a buyer specialist here at Hatch. I've been around for about 3 years now. And yeah, it's kind of fun to be able to share with you guys today and tap into some of the stuff. I know there's been a lot of questions with the Sphere deal stuff. So excited to tackle some of that. So
awesome. So Kyle, I mean, let's talk about that real quick. So last year you had 35 Sphere deals. Is that right?
Yep. Which at Hatch is considered, it was considered the Spheremaster. So you guys just understand that I am now the Spheremaster. No,
I like it.
Eric just comes up with these titles as he goes.
Definitely. We know how that is. And this year, I think you're already at 25 deals, right?
Yep.
All right. So the $1 million question everybody always asks is how to get more Sphere, how to get more Sphere. And we're big believers here in 4DX and reverse engineering, right? What you did today isn't going to help you right now. It's going to help you 6 months or 12 months in the future. So let's talk about that progression from what you did in 2015, 2016 until now to really get those numbers last year and what you're building on.
Yeah, Jim, that is awesome. That is excellent you bring that up. And I didn't know exactly. Well, I know Robbie talks a lot about 4DX and that type of mindset. And really, I think I'm cut from that exact cloth, because if I had to give an explanation to why I am now sitting in this chair as the perceived successful person as producing Sphere deals in a team-based system, I'm simply a product of what's happened over the course of the last 3 years. And we were talking a little bit before this, but the entire definition of why I have produced Sphere deals is because I'm the product of 2016 Kyle. Where I'm sitting here in May 2018, having my pipelines full of buyers. I've got 25 deals to date, and it's kind of like that. Hey, it looks like you really figured this out. Well, all of that stuff happened from habits that were started to create, that you guys helped create in me back when I was getting started. And I actually have, thinking about the call today, I was thinking about the reason why people are listening to this, why people would tune in and say, okay, I want to learn this nugget from Kyle today that's going to help all my buyers agents produce more Sphere. I mean, this is the reason that I came up with. You probably can't read it very well, but it says the law of consistency. There's a formula for this, and it's consistently repeated daily actions times time equals massive results. And the thing that I see with people that aren't achieving what they want to do with some of their Sphere goals is it's the consistency and the time coefficient. Sometimes people just give it 4 months, give it 5 months, give it 6 months, and then it's like, well, it didn't work. I'm out on this deal. I said the people that we all are today, Jim, you can attest to this, and I'd love to hear this. It's from an ISA perspective. You guys are the kings of action. I'm a believer in maturity or experience equals the amount of delayed gratification you can endure. And today, the person I am today is the people that I was with and the books that I read 2 years ago. And that's how that has kind of come along. I'll give you an example. I've got one of the things we can dive into today, if we've got time, is I've got a referral group that I started in late 2015. Now, referral groups are like flavor of the month, man. These things are springing out of nowhere, energy, growth. Everybody's excited, and then they freaking die as soon as they're created because of lack of leadership, because of lack of consistency, because people can't show up to one location at the same time once a week, every week. My referral group that started in 2015, I didn't get a lead from that referral group for 14 months.
Yep.
Now, that referral group, 32 months or something later, is one of my largest lead sources But if I quit on month 8 because I had not gotten anything from it, or if I'd have stopped going, where would I be at with it? You know what I mean? And I'm not here to challenge or do too much other than point to one thing, and it's kind of the boring answer that nobody's really looking for, but it's the law of consistency. And so, I mean, I'd love to dive into maybe some of the ways that I've changed kind of those shiny object goals into consistency goals. I think as salespeople, as producers, and even as leaders, as you're watching this, you need to change your tactical goals into consistency goals.
Yeah, let's talk about that, Kyle, because I think that's a huge statement. The biggest problem I see with this industry is shiny object syndrome, where it's what scripts work. How many calls do I need to make today? What do I need to make today to get 100 deals? Well, first of all, you're asking that question a year too late. It's consistency over time equals results. You want to be a great ISA? You're not going to be a great ISA in the first 6 months. I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen. But you're going to see an evolution every 6 months. So let's talk about that first 6 months in 2016, what you did and how that has resulted into today. How's that sound? Let's start there.
Yeah. Okay. So, getting down to the tactic side of, or getting down to some tools, because I'm hoping that people can leave with some products from this call today. One of the biggest things I'm a huge believer in. I actually had a gal in our office, Erica. We were chatting about this yesterday. I'm a huge believer in your pipeline. Right? It's the simplest thing. Everybody's got a pipeline. A lot of people have this database, right? Well, I'm talking about a 10-person pipeline. The most fundamental list, number 1, 2, 3, 4 through 10 names of people that you're going to sell next as far as your sphere goes. If you can't see the next 10 people that you're going to sell, you're not going to sell the next 10 people. You're not going to have the next 10 targets. If you think that you're just going to get 10 prospects from somewhere, good luck, they'll never come. You're just waiting for you're in the someday scenario. So for me, I always had 10 people right in front of me. I always had 10 names, and it's like a rose bush. You got to prune some of the names out. You got to add new life to it. You got to water it. If there's parts that are dying or the leads kind of go cold, you got to take them out of there. My pipeline was very active. Now, the pipeline, again, is a tactical goal. What you need to do with the pipeline, if you create a pipeline and you're feeling good on Monday, and 2 weeks later, you haven't picked up that piece of paper again, we find ourselves in the frustrating point that anybody's at with production. So now we're changing it to a consistency goal. So Jim, to answer your question, I created my pipeline, 10 prospects, right? 10, simple, keep it simple. And then I created a consistency goal with that I was going to look at that pipeline for at least 10 minutes every single day. Now, did I do that? Was I able to achieve that every single week, 7 days a week? No, it's freaking hard. But that's where where I put my goals. It wasn't that I needed to just create my pipeline and put it on the wall in my office, because I wasn't always in my office. So for me, consistency, changing my pipeline to actively prune my pipeline and have a consistency goal with it was one of the biggest things that I started with. Because then I could see at least I had 10 deals coming my way eventually. So
tell me about that. I mean, so you put up these 10 names. Where did you get those names, Kyle?
Okay, so that's a great point. What if you create a pipeline and you only got 3 names? You got 3 friends that are renting that are going to buy it, right? Well, then I know I've got blanks in my pipeline. Oh man, that's exciting for me, because guess what? Then I know I can go do an open house, fill in one more. Okay, I got 1 lead from an open house. Now I'm at 4. Okay, now I know I can go to a networking event. Okay, now I picked up a couple of business owners that I'm just going to put in my pipeline. And eventually, you're going to have to put yourself out there, is the easy answer, Jim. Or you're going to have to get online or find ways to gather those names or contacts that you can fill in those blanks. But they don't have to be people that you've known or even talked to. They could be friends that you've heard, or you can ask one of your friends for a name that you put in there that you've never talked to yet. Now your goal is to move that chess piece to the next spot. Okay, I've got my 10th person in my pipeline is, I always keep the hot leads at the top of my pipeline. I always keep the kind of the middle, the warm leads. Maybe taking them out to eat. Maybe I've talked to them about real estate, and then the cold leads are at the bottom. Well, what can I do today, Jim, as a consistent thing with my pipeline work, where I can move a cold lead to a potential warm lead. And I mean, something that I can show you here, here's my pipeline. Another rule I have with my pipeline is I always have to be able to see it. It has to be something that's around me at all times. Those are the next 10 people that are going to get sold in my business. So, I mean, I don't know if that came across, but yeah, I just have sticky notes on my phone. And so I was able to, and that's tough for new people. I think that that's a good point. Well, where do I find these names? Well, we're talking about 10. And if your sphere of influence is less than 10, I'm not going to say this is the wrong thing for you, but you have an opportunity to go and hunt down people that you trust, get a name. Doesn't have to be perfect. You're going to prune that. Remember, the minute you find a better lead, you're taking someone out of there and putting them in, you know?
Let's talk about that, Kyle, because I've saw, you know, the last 3 years, obviously I've worked alongside you. I've saw that number swell from 10 when you started, and now I think you have 500 or 600 in there. And so let's talk about what you're doing to fill that up. Are you calling your sphere? Are you doing open houses? Are you going to referral groups? I know you're doing all of it, but give me like 3 steps that you took that first month to get those 10.
I'll say this, you know, it can get super overwhelming. And I think the biggest things for salespeople, and especially I see the guys on my team, you can go down the wrong path of being, quantity versus quality, right?
Yep.
I've got a guy on my team that's having awesome success. His name's Lucas Gunkelman. Wow. I had a bad time saying his name. Lucas Gunkelman. And Lucas didn't have any sales from January to March. Lucas produced in 2017, but he didn't have anything going. But he had one of the best pipelines that Cole, the other leader on our team, Cole and I had ever seen. He had this 15-person pipeline. They were really rock solid people. And so we were like, you know what? It's just a time bomb for him. He had done the work. He was pouring into his pipeline. He was watering his pipeline plant. And he knew that they were going to pop. So the fact is, if I would have told Lucas, go out and get 100 names and numbers, that would have been the wrong direction to give him as an early agent, because when he was able to focus on those 10 quality, boom, they started popping. Boom, boom, boom. He's at 13, you know, so it come around for him. And I would say, to answer that question, Jim, you're going to continue to build a bench just from proximity if you keep some habits. And so to get into some of those habits, setting up a networking group has been a really awesome thing. I think that that's something that's difficult, but it's been a great thing. I have a goal of 3 to 5 lunches, happy hours, or coffees each week, because that's networking, man. That gives me life. You know, some people that, you know, you got to find your niche with it. But if you're an active person, high I personality, 3 to 5, that's not hard. It gives you energy. You're creating connection. You're getting face to face with people. I have a goal of 12 real estate conversations a week. You know, that's my consistency. I know that if I have 12 real estate conversations a week, that's roughly 48 a month, right? I'm going to get about 4 sphere deals a month from that type of action. That's my own numbers. But people can, you know, some of the guys on my team are, you know, about 2 a month with the same type of contact, 2 to 4. Those are great numbers if you're doing, you know, 2 to 4 sphere deals a month. That's some of the stuff. As far as like I said, the networking group every Tuesday morning, I've never missed that meeting. You know, how many people can say that?
Right.
It's just the consistency. I'm not the special ingredient here, Jim. That's the funny part. I get to sit here and chat with you and blab about this topic. Anybody could be sitting in my seat if they just did the same things consistently for as long as they've done them. If someone else went to my referral group for the last 3 years straight every Tuesday and they were sitting in that seat, they would have the same deals from that group that I have. You know what I mean, Jim? Yep. It's not. That's the thing, that people think that they're not the right person for this stuff. No, I'm a total product of my surrounding and just putting things in my life. I guard against my own bad habits. I have to have consistency and rigidity in my life in order to guard against my natural tendencies to be spontaneous and be a high. Jim, you know me. I'm a shiny object guy.
So I've known Kyle for 3.5 years. And Kyle is a shiny object guy, but he is also the biggest consistency guy I know because he knows his own weaknesses. I know my own weaknesses too. And if you can actually self-actualize, your weaknesses turn into your strengths because you know about them and you actually start to realize, hey, as long as I stick to this, it doesn't matter that I'm weak in these areas because I'm consistent. Consistency will always, always win. Whenever I'm talking to people and we talk about ISAs or we talk about, what do I need to do today? Really, I don't care what my results are today. I have this conversation with Cody when he first started. Cody was grinding away, making 800 or 1,000 dials a day, and he didn't get crap for appointments, and he was discouraged. It doesn't matter. You're doing the work, and it took me a long time to realize that the work and the consistency of the work will create the results. It may not be today. It may not be the 3 months from now. But Cody lately, I've been calling him Pocket King because every freaking email, every pocket that comes out, I see his name or Eric's name on it. And it's the consistency that they did the last year that has created those results. And I think what you're seeing is you're seeing that crescendo effect, right? Mm-hmm. I had this conversation with you the other day. I haven't paid attention to my sphere the last 3 years. I haven't done anything with it. So if I start today, it's not like the sphere is going to turn on and I'm going to have 20 deals this year. No, if I'm turning the system on now, I expect every 6 months that it'll probably double. Maybe I have 2 of the first 6 months. The next 6 months, it'll be 4. The next 6 months after that, it'll be 8. So 2 years from now, yeah, maybe I'll be at 32 deals, 32 sphere deals, but it's going to take 2 years to get to that. So yeah, Kyle's out hustling every day. Go ahead.
I got a great book recommendation for people out there. That types of things helps keep your mind on the goal, but by reading books and acquiring knowledge is how you build yourself into the person you want. So the book that I've been going through, and it's one of my favorites, is called The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. Oh man, this thing is all about delayed gratification and consistency. It talks about the slight edge that people they're just a hair away. They're chopping through the dirt for years and years. They got their pickaxe, and they get right 2 feet from all the gold mine behind the mountain, and then they turn back and they quit. They quit chopping. One of the stats from that book that I absolutely loved about this topic is they said the difference between a 300 batting average baseball player that has a multi-million-year contract and a 260 batting average player is only 40 points of average, and that's less than 1 additional hit per week for the season. That's just 1 little hit the entire season. And what makes that hit happen is just a hair of where the bat hit the ball half of this time. I mean, we're talking just incremental changes to massive different. I mean, like you say, it's the example of if you're 1 degree off and you continue to be 1 degree off every day, where are you at the end of a year, at the end of 10 years? You're so far away from where you wanted to go. And so for me, it's, and I know we want to get into this too, Jim. I talked about consistency with the sales stuff, but a lot of the things that have provided value in my life, and this goes beyond, and I don't want this to be this huge philosophical conversation. I know people want tactical responses, but it's been my workout routine, man. I'm getting my head right in the morning, trying to make sure I'm prepared for the day. It's been my reading habit, things like that. Anybody can read, dude. Anybody can go to the gym. I'm not going to the gym for 2 hours. I'm going to the gym for 20 minutes sometimes when I'm having a rough week, But if you put yourself in the gym, you're going to work out. Just like if you put yourself in your lead generation hour, close the doors, black out these ISAs, Kodiak, your blackout there. Something's going to happen that day every time you put yourself there. I mean, let's use this example again, just to belabor the topic for everyone here. I said I didn't get a lead for 14 months in my referral group. We met once a week, 7:30 a.m. every Tuesday. What if I would have met with that group once a day every day, 7:30? I bet you my results, because my time efficient would have increased, right? My results would have happened faster, because guess what? We'd have been meeting 7 days a week. That's a ridiculous analogy, but my point is the reason it took 14 months is because we were only meeting once a week. What if it
took a long time to build up that trust? Yeah,
exactly. What if we were lead generating 3 days a week like we're supposed to? What if we were lead generating 1 hour a day like we're supposed to? You know, the reason that I've had, you know, lulls in my business is because it's been a busy summer and I got away from my habits. You know, I'm not perfect. My lead generation habits aren't as refined as they were in 2016. So guess what? I got to fight like hell right now to continue to have the success that I created back then. Does that make sense? I know I'm jumping back and forth, but that's the gist of this.
Yeah, I think let's really get back to that point that you were talking about, Kyle, of what you do every day. It seems like you get your pipeline, these 10 to 15 people. So just to get to that point, you might do open houses. You might ask your friends and family who they know, but you have those top 10 people that you know in the next 3 months, 3, 6, where are you at? That more than likely they're going to do something.
Oh yeah, exactly. And that's right. I mean, right now I've got about 8 A buyers, so I'm looking to surpass 30 here on the year for Sphere deals. Okay, so I mean, if we're going to look at that pillar, pipeline's a big one, but we talked about that. As far as lead generation goes, I've really put it into 5 categories. I have to not a minute power. Have to do that. You have to shut the door. You have to turn your phone on silent. You have to focus on lead generation. I talk a lot about lead generation versus lead management. If I get a call from a lender that I'm answering and he says, Kyle, I've got a lead for you. Guess what? Great day. I've got a pre-approved buyer for you. Guess what? That doesn't count as lead generation. Maybe I did.
That's lead receiving. Yep.
That's lead receiving, Jim. Yep. There's a big difference. I didn't actively create that lead during my lead generation time. That's lead management. We can get stuck in lead management all the time, Jim. How many times do you get stuck in your database just, oh yeah, this guy did this, and all of a sudden 2 hours go by and I just updated my database for 2 hours and I'm just managing instead of generating them. So I mean, for me, that's got to be pure, man. That's lead generation. That's me actively making calls, actively following up with open house leads, actively doing follow-ups with clients that aren't currently clients. I could recall my pre-approved buyers, but that's not create a new lead unless I'm asking for referrals, right? So, I mean, then number 1. Number 2 is that open houses. If you want to ramp up your lead generation, open houses, you're sitting in a house where people are walking through the door looking to buy a house. Whether they're represented or not, you know, you're there ready to, you know, receive or be open to have that conversation and move the needle on that. Like I said, I'm a big fan of the 3 to 5 interactions a week. I did, 2+ lunches a week, I say, to be conservative. One of my 4th one that I do very consistently is I want to interact with one similar industry professional each day. So that's 5 a week. I'm talking financial advisors. I'm talking insurance people. I'm talking lenders. I'm talking commercial people. I'm talking people that are interacting with the same type of people I want to be interacting with.
So talk about that, Kyle. What do you mean when you're interacting? Are you just popping by to their office? Are you just picking your phone call up? You know, what are you doing?
I think it's something I learned from ISA. I'm stopping by. I'm shaking their hand. I'm asking about their life. I'm generally interested in meeting people. That's all it is. And then guess what? If I want to set up a business meeting after that, or if I want to call them up and say, hey, I had a really fun time. I hope your son's softball game went well the other Thursday when I stopped by. Really cool to hear about your family. Wanted to get on a little bit of business note here. Do you have any pre-approved buyers that you've come across? You know what? I'm not this salesy type of guy that's coming and saying, give me business, give me business. It's saying, hey, I'm doing some lead generation right now. What are the chances you have some pre-approved buyers that are unrepresented right now? You know, I make 5 of those asks, Jim, and sometimes, you know, one of the 5 will say, yeah, I got a guy who he'd mix well with you, you know, but we got to get over our fear of actually making that ask a little bit.
Right. And so we talked about, you know, how you're having that conversation with industry professionals. Let's talk about how you are having that conversation with past clients, current clients, friends, family about referrals. Let's go that route too and talk about that.
That's good. That's good. That's an interesting dynamic. A lot of what I like to do, and I've done a training on this actually, I like to try to be somewhat tactical in showing value more than I'm talking business, right?
Yep.
I mean, we got to be careful with that because I don't want the motive that I have to ever have the underlying notion that I'm just here for business. But guess what? We have jobs. We have, we're here to do work. So I like to differentiate that. Jim, I like to keep it simple again. I don't call all of my past clients. I try to get that down to the top 20%, maybe even the top 10% that I really find value in, that I built a great relationship with, that I think I've got a form of trust with. And this is just kind of on the buyer agent side, because we're in the trenches with these people. So that maybe that top 10%, and calling in on things, I'm calling, giving, they say, oh, we're doing some landscaping, our yard needs some work. Okay, can I provide value by giving you a landscaper? Can I provide value by inviting you to one of our client events? Can I provide value by giving you some gift cards for a date night? I like to do about 3 or 4 of those before I'm saying, hey, this is a little different call, Jessica. I'm doing some lead generation right now. Our business is built on continuing to sell homes to people, usually great people like yourself, know other great people. Do you know anybody renting an apartment right now? Pause. Don't keep talking, Kyle. Don't keep talking. Let her answer. That's my hardest thing, is letting them answer the dang question.
Yep.
And then, you know what? Sometimes it's, no, not right now, but I'll keep you in mind. And then it's like, no problem. That's awesome. Just really appreciate it. Just again, it's been a joy kind of building a relationship with you. Thanks. Boom. That's a fun call. I'm not saying that doesn't have fruit, right? Then I'm going to jump back into value. But if you got 10, 20 of those on a list and you're keeping those, all you're doing is moving that little chess piece to the next spot. Like I say, that was one that I had a good conversation. Boom, that's a contact. That's a real estate contact for me. Enough of those will transition into something.
You're having some Jim Renfro microphone issues there right now, buddy.
Oh, really?
No, you're good. You're good. So you're having these conversations after 4 or 5 conversations after adding value. You're checking in with industry professionals. You're having 3 to 5 real estate conversations a week. And basically, you're just trying to keep that pipeline always full of 10 A buyers. And so somebody comes out, because this happens all the time in the ISA world too. You talk to an A, the life situation changed a little bit. Well, now maybe they're going to drop down to a B or a C, right? It's just a category. Yeah. We're in the industry of helping people. People are not numbers. People are not letters, but we need to know to stay organized, whether it's A, B, or C, right? And so, it sounds like a really good system. Let's give some high-level highlights, Kyle, because I know it's about 2:00. Don't want to keep you extra. What are 3 things someone new in the industry can do today to start better targeting their sphere? And then I'm going to go into a second question once you've answered that.
Okay, 3 things. I'm a big fan of, I got to go back to it. Get a freaking your steering wheel and write your 10 names on there and just stare at it. All right, there's your pipeline. I'm done talking about that. We've talked about that. Number 2, plan your lead generation before you go to it. You're going to have that 1 hour of focus. Everybody does in any real estate world. Plan what you're going to do during that before you get there. And that can be something that takes 5 minutes in the morning. Say, I'm gonna find a painter referral partner today. So I'm gonna call painters during my lead generation hour. Hey, this is Kyle Reedstrom with Hatch Realty. I've had a lot of past clients that need painting services. And I'm looking for a painter to champion as someone I can refer business to. Would you like to be my partner in that? Who's gonna say no to that, right? Then later on, you could maybe ask for, hey, who do you know that maybe is looking to buy or sell their house? As you create that relationship. My whole point there, Jim, is to have a focus going into your lead generation is much different than sitting down and be like, okay, time to lead generate. What should I do? Go through my contacts. Number 3 that I would say is a great tactic is map out your month. Map out what you want to do for networking. Map out what you want to do. Plan out lunches 2 weeks in advance. Because nothing you feel like you're getting momentum with this stuff. If you know that you have 2 lunches booked out 2 weeks from now with 2 people, and then you keep filling the gaps, all of a sudden you look and you have Okay, what's my week look like next week? I've got 3 happy hours, 2 coffees, and 1 lunch. You're starting to feel like, something's going to happen there. You're feeling abundance mindset rather than feeling like you're not completing what you want to do. So
great, that makes sense. So I mean, this is where I was going, Kyle. So that's your approach to this, and this is the plan that I have moving forward. Is I want to have 15 brand ambassadors. So those are people that are in my sphere that are my ambassadors. I hope that they're feeding me 1 to 4 referrals a year. So 15 of my closest friends and allies. My plan is to meet with each of them once a month. Half hour, maybe a shake for breakfast, sit down, see what they're doing, and add value to their life. What else would you do in a situation like that when you want to build your sphere and you kind of have to start over and you've been in the industry for a couple of years? And is that even a good idea to have 15 brand ambassadors, jeepers, and really pour into them and have those one-on-ones?
I love that, Jim. You're creating people that are going to sell your business for you. That's brilliant. My referral group has 16 people right now. Those 16 people are better advocates than me, better advocates for me than I am for me. They literally know my elevator pitch better than I do, because they're saying their version of who I am, and it's a lot. Third-party recognition is 100-fold better than if you're selling yourself, right?
Yep.
So I actually love that tactic, Jim. I think that there's huge power in that. And then I think it's just putting yourself in the right situation to win. Set yourself up for success. There's no, if I want to ramp things up, you got to build momentum with this. Start sitting in open houses every weekend. Start going to feeling uncomfortable, going to some of these networking events. Start watching people and learning from people that you want to become. I give a ton of credit to the agents before me that had success with this, because you just watch what they do, try, monkey see, monkey do this stuff, and chase after them, see what those tactics are. There's a ton I've learned that way, and then you put your own spin on it. And you cannot live in the frustration of this. The only fuel for frustration in production is the time you give it. It's going to continue to fuel it if you just keep thinking about how much you're not doing, right? Massive action gives you massive results. And if you do it over time, you're going to get what you want. So, I mean, as far as the new people out there, like you say, Jim, I know you want to pour into some tactics for that. If you don't have a B2B referral sheet list, go build that. You can spend an entire year building that. You should have a go-to financial advisor. You should have a go-to lender, insurance, painter, contractor, roofer, landscaper. I could go on. There's a list on Google right now. You could type in and say industries out there, massage therapist, chiropractor, right? Well, you know what I mean, Jim? That's the type of thing you could focus on that as a tactic, and it would greatly improve your business.
Awesome. Well, Kyle, do you have any other nuggets before we let you go, or what are you thinking?
Man, it's fun talking with you guys on here. I want to say this again. I don't claim to have this all figured out. I'm spitballing. We're figuring this out. We're reconfiguring things on our team every week with Cole and Lucas, man. And partnering up with people on this, creating accountability with this. I learn more from the new things that Lucas and Cole are doing than some of the old tactics that I've been kind of my go-tos. So, being open with this stuff and continuing to think about it, focus on it, it breathes new life into what I'm doing every day. But then I've always got that time slotted, Jim. If I miss my lead generation, there's only one person to blame.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I know that's the same for you guys. As ISAs, I look to you guys as the kings of consistency. You guys are literally putting in that time. Man, I mean, you guys know this better than anybody. So I would just say don't quit. Best advice that I've ever gotten.
Well, I think you raised a really, really good concept, Kyle, which is you're not quitting if an action isn't working, you're adapting. And I think that's the biggest change since Eric, Cody, and Ryan came in, is me and Robbie and Pete had done things the same way forever, and we were dumb. And we have made just a lot of micro changes and major changes that have upped our game so much in the last year that we never thought was possible. And so it's always that continuous change is going to result in more and more action. And you're doing more and more testing. You know what's going to work. You're going to make slight adjustments, and everything's just going to keep going. But you need that time over task in order for it to work long term. None of this happens overnight. I know there's a lot of people over right now that want that quick fix and that silver bullet and that little pill that you can just take. It doesn't exist. Consistency is what creates it. So I think with that, we'll cut her off. We're at about 40 minutes, which is a pretty long one for us. Ryan, why don't you take us out of here, man? Oh, he's muted. There we go.
Thank you much. I appreciate that. Well, yeah, and there's one saying, Jim, that you made that's made a huge impact in my life, and this is great discussion. I learned a lot, took notes while listening to all this. Is less thinky, more doy. So that's where we're at. But from all of us to all of you out in Leeds Geeks lands, subscribe below, leave your comments. We'd love to hear from you. You want to be a guest on the show? Hit us up. We'll see what we can coordinate out in the long run. But otherwise, until then, take care. We'll talk to you soon.